Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of A Dog's View. I am Jody Fitzgerald. I am a licensed family dog mediator, and I am the CEO and founder of Fits Your Dog Training. And I'm trying to help you figure out life with your dog by stepping into their paws and figuring out what fits your dog to work. So today's topic, excuse me, I get very excited and a little bit anxious and tense when I start these. It is hard sometimes, for sure. But I really want to spread this word and helping dogs living better lives. So today I am talking about labeling the dog. I keep thinking, don't label the dog. I just can't say it enough. How I really think people need to take a look at what is really happening and not so quickly labeling the dog. Labeling a dog without misunderstanding its behavior can lead to confusion and misinterpretation of the dog's actions. Dogs are inherently in a self-preservation mode, meaning their behaviors are often responses to perceived threats or discomfort in the environment. When humans fail to recognize these subtle and recognize and understand these subtle body language signals that dogs use to communicate, they often are misinterpreted and leading to labels and inaccurate labels such as aggression, reactive, or biting, or a biter. This is extremely common. I think that humans do this very easily. And I wanted to explain, first of all, why these misunderstandings happen. It has to do with these very subtle signals are often missed. And all dogs have these nuanced, these body languages that are really small and subtle, such as lip licking, yawning, avoiding eye contact, even like stiffening their posture or moving away when they're signaling discomfort. And these signals are often missed. Many times people miss them, and they they may, and then because of that, dogs often will escalate, and their behavior will become more overt, more noticeable, like by barking or growling or biting. And the dog has gone to that because you've missed the first signals that they're showing. So really understanding and learning the signals is very important. And the other reason why their misunderstanding is because as humans, we often label what the dog does through our own lens and our experience and understanding of behavior. And dogs are, very different, and we need to take the time to learn. So we're interpreting their behavior through a human perspective and not really thinking about the dog's instincts or their needs. The genetics, there's a whole bunch to be considered about behavior, and humans often don't think about that. Often what seems like aggression may actually be fear, anxiety, or even an attempt to just put some space between you and the perceived threat. Between the dog and the perceived threat. They're trying to take themselves away from it. And another very big reason why misunderstandings happen is living in that self-preservation mode. Dogs have this fight, flight, or freeze response, and humans have it too. So when dogs feel trapped or overwhelmed, they'll often want to either fight, it will snap or bite and defend itself, or flight, it'll try and escape, find a way away from that, get some space to get away from that situation, or they often freeze. They become still, and I've seen this so many times. They just stop, and they may be hoping that the threat is going to go away. These responses are not bad behaviors at all. They're survival mechanisms. Thinking about this stuff of what's going on with your dog. I understand it's a challenge. There are impacts to labeling dogs. Labeling a dog as aggressive or reactive when they're being defensive it's a stigma. It's a label, and it's suddenly, if a dog is scared and it reacts, now all of a sudden you're saying it's reactive or aggressive, this often has really negative results for the dog. They become avoided, sometimes punished, or even rehomed. And we know there's also euthanasia. I have one who did some biting, and he was taken to be euthanized for biting. And knowing him with what I know about him, especially the more years I have him, he's very loving. He was terrified of the world, of everything, and that was why he was reacting. And once he got help with that, he's a much happier dog. And there's no biting, there's nothing happening at all, because he's getting understood and listened to. And I've learned his body language, and this. It's often when dogs are labeled, it's a missed opportunity to understand what's really going on with the dog. And it labels simplify complex behaviors and discourage deeper investigation into what the dog's real needs or triggers are that's causing its reactions. And it's really a huge impact. And also, another big impact with labeling dogs is that it affects your relationship. It affects your relationship with your dog. Somebody loved Hogan. I know somebody loved him before I ever got him. He's a very, very loving dog, and somebody loved him, but I don't know what happened. He must have been scared in a few situations. I know a little bit about his history. I know he was kicked several times, and came with a huge fear of feet. It's really hard to think about it, but he's come a long ways. But because of whatever happened to him and he became aggressive, he was labeled an aggressive dog because he did attack some feet or whatever. He was protecting himself. He was scared, and he got labeled, and he went to get put to sleep for it. He was taken to be euthanized for this huge misunderstanding, because I know he's a very, very loving dog. He's the most loving dog I have. And so really there's a huge impact to labeling dogs without taking a step back to really take a good look at what they're going through. There are much better ways, to deal with it. Learning the language, learning dogs, canine body language, understanding these small, subtle cues. Whether, sometimes it's so small, sometimes it's just a little lean back, or a little head turn. Like, there's things to understand and learn about these small cues that dogs are always showing us. And they love when we pay attention to them and we catch them. When you catch those little things and respond to them with your dog and respect what's going on with them, it's a game changer. Understanding can change everything. Also, we need to, for this better approach to this, to working with dogs, assessing the environment, taking a really good look at what is causing the triggers. What is it that's scaring someone? Is it just when somebody comes in the door? We can work with that. Is it a typical fear of dogs? Is men with hats, somebody dressed in winter clothes? There's all these triggers. It also can be things like a sound. Somebody walking across the street. Like, there's so many triggers to dogs. It all depends on their genetics and how they're feeling at the moment. The environment is huge on that. And what they see. Some dogs are triggered depending on the breed of the dog. They may be triggered with motion. Hogan is one. He's very triggered by the motion of Herbie moving. So, understanding what is going on with their behavior, and you can reframe it instead of labeling, saying the dog was aggressive. Say the dog growled when someone approached. Like, don't say the dog is speaking. The dog is saying they're not comfortable, they're not feeling safe, they're not, there's something not right in their emotional and self-preservation, everything. There's something not right in that moment, and that's why they would be doing that growling. And so we need to work with that. We need to start with those places and learn how to and work with that. And definitely seeking help. The best approach is, if you're really having troubles and you're starting to label your dog as aggressive or a biter or fear, get some help. Seek help from a canine behaviorist or trainer who can give you insight. Like me, I'm here to help you understand your dog's actions and to help you create a better relationship and understand how to work with that and how to help the dog learn to feel comfortable, to have confidence, and to trust you. There's lots that dogs really can learn when we put the time into it. Um, by recognizing the reactions that are rooted in these self-preservation and communication with modes, humans we can help with empathy and understand rather than judgment. It's not only benefits the dog, but it'll strengthen your bond between you and your dog. I can't stress enough how much I feel like dogs are just misunderstood right away, called a bad dog, things like that. Um, Another great way to talk about dogs with to do with labeling is when we compare it with children. And I find this very interesting angle to look at it, because um, children are always growing up and learning too, and the environment affects them. And they have a self. They have all these. We have this self, our little important being, and what's important to us in the moment. When you're a baby, it's very different than we are as adults, but so they have to learn as they're growing. And our reactions to them growing and what they're going through makes a big difference in how successful they can be in their lives. And so adding the comparison with young children highlights the disparity in how we approach similar behaviors in dogs versus humans. When a young child hits or bites or acts out, we need to make sure we're always looking at them as a form of communication and a response if something's happening, and how can we help them through that, and not label the child. We don't label a child as violent or aggressive for life like we do with dogs. Instead we seek to understand the cause. Why are they frustrated? Lack of communication, lack of skills, overstimulation. A child can learn better ways to express themselves. We know that with compassionate and developmental approaches. We don't really rarely put that to dogs, and we need to understand that. Despite this, the similarities in the situations, we often do not consider the fact that we need to be looking at it similarly to we look at children. Dogs are doing their best to fit in and to understand the world, and to live happy in the world and successfully. And dogs are the same. Humans, it's the same as humans. We're teaching them, we're helping them to learn to be in the environment. So why comparison matters, for comparing, another idea of why it really matters to compare children and humans and dogs, is because just like children, dogs communicate their discomfort or emotions through their actions. When a child bites, we ask why. What is that child trying to say? Or we say, what led to this? I would usually say, what led to this? Why did this happen? We rarely extend that same curiosity to dogs. The dog bit. He's a biter, not looking at what's going on. So it's really important to understand that behavior is communication. Developmental and environmental. A child's actions are often seen as part of the learning process, influenced by their environment and experiences. So dogs need the same thing. Their behavior is shaped by upbringing, training, and past experiences, and their genetics. However, they're usually based on their immediate actions without even considering their history or the context of the situation, how they're feeling, the environment, what's going on. And there's like I said, there's self, the environment, the genetics, and the learning, what they've learned. We have to think about these things. If something happened to a bad experience one time, the next time the dog is scared and bites, we have to be willing to stop and go back and say, well, what's going on? And often you can even find the signals ahead of time. Like I said, you got to learn the body language. This is a long one today, and I knew I had the stuff ready. I wanted to talk about this today because I feel it's really, really important that we take a good look at labeling dogs. It can affect them for life. When a child acts out, we work. Ideally, there is assistance and resources to help guide and teach them, knowing that behavior at that moment does not define them for life, or for the future, right? We can help them. But with dogs, a single reactive episode can lead to lifelong labeling, such as aggressive or dangerous, which can limit their chances of rehab, socialization, and adoption and life. We need to keep on thinking about these things, why it's so important to compare dogs to children and how we raise them. um, Empathy and patience. Children, we understand that the behavior stems from immature ability to regulate emotion and respond to challenges, right? Children's behaviors stem from an immature ability to regulate emotions and respond to challenges. We need to apply the same principle to dogs. We need to take a look at the fact that their behaviors are because they don't know, because they need help, because we need to help them figure in the environment and to adjust and to make them feel safe and to be comfortable and to understand their genetics and to fulfill their needs and to make them feel safe. I keep saying that they have to be safe, but often dogs are punished and misunderstood rather than approached with empathy and patience. Empathy. I love the word empathy. So there is really a need for a similar approach in working with labeling dogs, understanding the root causes, take a good look at why the dog, we do it with children, taking a good look at what's going on. We should do that with the dog's behaviors. We need to understand that there is fear, pain, confusion, lack of safety, lack of confidence, lack of socialization. There's definitely many reasons why a dog reacts how they do. And we need to look at teaching alternatives. With children, we guide them to express themselves in healthier ways. We get lots of help. We work with children to help them respond in healthier ways. And such as, instead of so we teach them to use their words. We teach children to use their words and instead of hitting. And dogs can be taught alternative behaviors throughout reinforcement and training. And it can work really well. And we need to start rejecting permanent labels. A child who bites is not labeled as a biter for life. Their behavior is seen as a moment in their development. Dogs deserve the same consideration. Labels like aggressive or reactive should not define them, right? Especially when the behavior is often a response to their circumstances rather than an inherent trait. Especially when a behavior is often a response to their circumstance rather than an inherent trait. So just because they bite doesn't mean they're a biter. It's labeling. Labeling is wrong, and can make a big difference to learn and get help with understanding your dog if you don't understand. If you don't understand what your dog is doing, if you're not sure if your dog is reacting, please book a call. I have my I don't know what I did. Here we go. I'm going to put my calendar link up here. Please don't be afraid to book a call. We have free call. We can discuss it and go over it because your dog needs to understand. Your dog deserves to be understood just like children do. By comparing action to those of young children, we highlight the importance of understanding. Both children and dogs are learning to navigate the world. We often rely on imperfect methods of communication. When we approach with both patience and willingness to understand, to learn, we not only foster better relationships, but we also create opportunity for growth, healing, and mutual trust. This perspective challenges us to see dogs not as bad or dangerous, but as individuals worthy of care, understanding, and second chances. Please consider learning what your dog is when your dog is trying to say, learning how to communicate, learning. When you understand dogs, you can prevent things from happening. This is a gift that I've had for many years. I have not had many bad experiences with dogs. I have not had many bites because I have a really gift to understand dogs and to understand their body language. And I understand when they're really scared and really afraid, and I understand to give them the room and space, which is one of the number one things that helps. But just recognizing, and they love when you get to learn and understand when they're not looking good, not feeling good about a situation. When you say, "Hey, okay, bud, let's go this way," or talk about it even, can make a huge difference. There are so many ways to help and to understand your dog and to not label. Labeling costs the life of many, many, many dogs. I know it does, and I think that it can be changed, and I think we have the ability to change it. So please subscribe to my channel. While you're watching this, anybody that's watched this, I really appreciate it. Please share this with anybody uh, that is struggling with their dog. I really think that labeling is a big part on the challenge of many, many, many dog owners. We love them so much, but we don't understand their behavior. We take a look through the human lens, and theoretically, you should be able to train it. It's not always so simple. You have to understand what's going on, and then a lot of things really work much better when you add that empathy and patience and understanding. Please. So I've been working on a series in my YouTube for under labeling dogs. I've gotten 3 of them done so far, and I really hope to share these. I hope people get out there and learn how to understand what a difference that it can be to their dog and to the dog's life and to their life. There can be so much clarity when you understand what's really going on, and you can create such an amazing life together. So please have a great day. Don't be afraid to share this and check out some more. Check out my playlist on my YouTube channel here. And learning about labeling is my newest one, and I think it's very helpful. And I want to help you, and don't be afraid to contact me. And everybody have a great day. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.